YouTube, welcome back to another video, and we're going to break down how to go about maintaining a lean, athletic physique. Okay, because I think most people that watch this are more looking to look like an athlete, perform like an athlete, low body fat, good amount of muscle mass. We're not sort of trying to look like some bodybuilder and hold as much muscle as we can in terms of looking like that. We want to be athletic, we want to be functional, and I'm obviously going to sort of walk through how we can go about that really. So starting off with the main problem people face is people can't get lean. They struggle to get to low levels of body fat, okay? Or once they get lean, they can't maintain that, okay? I've been there before. Got lean, brilliant, whatever it was for a holiday or a photo shoot, and then you just go back into old ways, and you put a little bit of body fat on. Winter comes, you're like, I'm not too bothered how I look, and then before you know it, you're in that sort of that spiral. People diet way too hard, do copious amounts of cardio, train like every single day, hardly eat, just absolutely hit burnout, like just no energy, hormones all over the place, and it's not ideal. For me, being lean, athletic, like I say, it's about having that physique where body fat is healthy, muscle mass is in a good position, but you're looking and feeling great, and it's something that you can sustain. Okay, so without blowing smoke too much, this image here, when I did my photo shoot, I was going for that athletic look, and I think I did a pretty good job with that. That is me. My face, I just look very different in the face. But anyway, so when we look at it, hybrid athlete wise, this is typically sort of a hybrid athlete. In terms of we are training for different modalities because we want that athleticism with the cardiovascular work, but then we also want to be maintaining muscle mass, building strength, etc. So for me, I've never been that fussed about getting like 5-6% body fat, absolutely like shredded to the bone. Okay, for me, I've just wanted to drop body fat, look better, improve body composition, and obviously be able to perform well as well. We want to be chasing performance. We want to be chasing, whether that be running goals, whether it be training in the gym. It could be work related, business related. There's a whole host of things. Okay, a leaner physique is helping with all of that, in my opinion, the way you hold yourself, your self-confidence, and everything else. So first of all, we want to make sure we're lifting heavy. Okay, we want to maintain muscle. We'll build your muscle mass, we'll keep your muscle mass. So mechanical tension, progressive overload in the gym. Building endurance, whether that be through running, rowing, swimming, cycling, whatever it may be. We've got a good aerobic capacity, good base to work off. We're fueling smartly, so we're prioritizing carbohydrates around our workouts. We're including micronutrients throughout the day. We're staying well hydrated. We're having protein with each meal, so on and so forth. And we're recovering as well as we train. So we treat our recovery like a training session. If you're doing these consistently, your body composition, the way that you look, is going to take care of itself. Okay, now there will be slight differences. So one I notice is when I am in a endurance phase, training for an ultramarathon, triathlon, whatever it may be, I get very lean. I look a lot leaner. My face comes in very similar to this photo here. Okay, very lean. Maintain muscle mass. Feel a little bit. This is just me personally. Feel a little bit as in my t-shirts are a little bit loose around my arms and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, I'm leaner. Okay, my body composition perspective. On the other side, when I'm in a strength phase, which is more like now, where running volume is a little bit lower, but strength training is more of a priority, I notice that, okay, I'm holding a little bit more body fat. Food is higher and I'm in more of a surplus because expenditure is lower due to not sort of doing too much endurance. But I'm strong in the gym. I'm energized in the gym. T-shirts feel a little bit more of a hug around the arms. So, it's one of those things. But generally speaking, body composition stays in a good position all year round. If I wanted to, give myself 6 weeks, I could get quite lean. And I always like to be in and around that sort of area. Now, the 3 pillars of staying lean, okay, because you can get lean and then you want to stay lean. So we've got training efficiency, focusing on high intensity in our workouts, not doing burpees and, broad jumps in terms of that high intensity. I'm talking intensity with our training sessions in the gym, intensity in our cardiovascular work, whatever it may be. We're not just doing endless amounts of volume. Okay, I've spoken about this before. If you're doing 4, 5, 6 sets per exercise, you're probably better off doing 2, 3. Okay, focusing on quality, bringing intensity to each set that you do, is going to get far more out of it. Not just doing volume for no point. Same with running. Just running as much as you can with no real reason. All right, nutrition. Fuel for performance. Okay, like I've said to you before, I've said all the time, we're not restricting calories. We're not, trying to calorie count every single thing we consume. We are fueling for performance. We want each meal to have a protein source, a carbohydrate source, and some form of micronutrients. Okay, example would be breakfast. It could be some eggs, some sourdough, some tomatoes. As an example. Lunch could be chicken. It could be some rice, and it could be grilled vegetables. Dinner could be salmon, it could be potato, and it could be a salad with cucumber, pepper, tomatoes again, etc. And then you could have some fruit and a yogurt bowl afterwards. As an example, you can see that's how I would sort of go about planning meals. And then lifestyle. So consistency, sleep, stress, dealing with this is going to be super, super important, because ultimately if we are not, we could be training efficiently, we could be eating the right foods, but then if we're letting the other sort of variables slip, that can then have a negative impact later on down the line. Train for a lean, athletic look. Okay, so if I was, this is what I do, and this is what I get a lot of my clients to do, because with coaching, all-rounded athlete, we are all about looking good, feeling good, being lean, athletic, strong, can go and do a run for 10K if we need to, can go and lift our body weight on a deadlift. Well, body weight on a bench press, body weight on a deadlift. You probably, I'd like to think we can do that. So how would I split this up? So 3 strength sessions per week would be a focus. 3 could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, focusing on compound lifts. We're looking at progressive overload. Okay. So your strength sessions, how I would go about it with the flow that I would follow would be, we'd go in, we'd do a heart raiser, an assault bike, a rower, a ski, whatever it may be. Then you're going to do a bit of mobility work. The mobility work and prep work would be based upon the main movement of that session. So let's say, for argument's sake, Monday is a press variation. Wednesday is a deadlift variation. Friday is a squat variation. So if I'm doing a press variation on, say, Monday, I might do my mobility work where I'm getting some rotation through my trunk. I'm getting some resistance through my shoulders to obviously help improve stability before we go into the press. And then I could even do something like almost a mimic of the actual movement I'm doing. So if I'm doing a flat dumbbell chest press, I might do some eccentric push-ups or just something along those lines to get myself sort of fired up. Get into the strength session, which would be my main working block, 3 to 4 sets, sort of 4 to 6, 7 reps, depending on sort of where I am. And then I'd go into the accessory work after that. So I would follow like an upper lower full body, or 3 full body sessions with this approach. We're then looking at having sort of maybe 2 to 3 endurance-based sessions. Again, this is going to depend on what your goal is. If you're training for an endurance event, then your endurance sessions may be more 3. If you're in more of a maintenance phase and focusing on strength, then it might be 2. I definitely have mainly zone 2 work. So building aerobic capacity, keeping heart rate nice and low, and just getting, like I say, building up that base. And then you might throw in some threshold bits where, you're working at sort of a threshold effort for a certain period of time. And then I'd have 1 active rest day or 1 rest day completely, walk, mobility, etc. I'd keep it as away from the gym, just nice to sort of mentally reset. For me at the moment, I'm doing 3 strength sessions, 2 endurance sessions, and a rest day, 2 rest days. So that's how I am, but strength's my focus. And I also want to make sure I'm recovering as well, especially as intensity is getting quite high. I want to make sure I'm recovering just as well as I can. Nailing your nutrition. Okay, you don't need to track every single gram. It's not a case of I'm going to get MyFitnessPal. You need to track gram. Everything to the absolute bare minimum, to the grain of rice. We just want to understand general energy balance and intentional fueling. Okay, so we're eating enough to be able to go and train hard in the gym. So pre-workout meal, good source of carbohydrates, 60 to 90 minutes before, with some protein in. We train, we're well hydrated. Then we're going to come in after the gym or after our session, protein, carbohydrates, so on and so forth. Protein around 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. We're looking for moderate carbohydrates as well, like I say, with a main focus before and after your session. And then meals wise, I'd keep things sort of 80% sort of foods you enjoy, 80%, that you wish, 80% whole foods, and then 20% sort of a little bit more leeway. Because honestly, if you're eating more whole foods, yes, it's great, but you'll just feel unbelievable. You'll feel so much better than sort of a lot of processed stuff. So like for me, for example, my 20% freedom could be something like a protein bar, or it could be some Biscoff in my oats, Biscoff spread, as an example. But mainly it's going to be whole foods, digest better, makes you feel better as well. So if you're eating loads of processed, try and change that up. How do we actually maintain this leanness? So once we're there, okay, once you've built muscle and dropped body fat, it can be very easy to just maintain that physique. All right, building muscle is going to take a lot of time. Dropping body fat could take anywhere from 3 to 4 months. Okay, to maintain your muscle mass, you probably only need around about 70% less of your previous training volume. Now, that's what studies say, and obviously I wouldn't go that low because, again, we want to try and build and we want to get good sessions done. But let's say, for example, you just want to maintain your physique, you might only need to do 2 sets per exercise as opposed to 3 or 4, or as an example, or you might need to only do 8 sets a week as opposed to 20 sets a week per muscle group, as an example. So, for me, when I did the Ironman, the ultramarathon, my training volume in the gym dropped a lot, but I was able to maintain muscle mass through this approach. Adequate calorie intake. So once you're at you're lean, you want to keep this sort of physique. With a nutrition perspective, I would be having it as consuming my baseline amount of calories every day, 2,500. That's going to keep you where you are. But on days where expenditure is higher due to maybe your zone 2 run or your threshold, I'd then look to sort of add 200 to 300 calories on top of that for that day, just so we're not sort of burning out too much and we're in a large deficit. So that's something I would be doing, and just keeping that maintenance amount of calories each day nice and simple. Weekly structure, still keeping in the same habits, still keeping in everything that you would do anyway. I think when we diet down, get really lean, we've got that laser vision, everything is locked in, we are there, we're going for this lean goal of looking good, feeling athletic. Once you're there, those habits can sometimes go away. Okay, so we want to make sure the habits that you've implemented into your lifestyle, you maintain and you keep. All right, so in essence, it's harder to build the muscle mass that you want, and it's far easier to maintain it. Okay, recovery being the secret weapon. From staying lean, we want to manage stress. We don't want to be adding any more. Okay, reasons being, if we poor sleep, scientifically, it's going to impact your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, in the way we don't want it to happen. So it'll make you feel more hungry, it'll make you crave more foods that are not maybe as coherent with the goal set. And then also as well, with poor sleep, you're going to have low energy, not going to be able to give as much in your training sessions, overall expenditure. You're not going to be sort of burning through as many calories, which is not what you want. Again, so sleeping 7 to 9 hours per night. We want to make sure we're hydrating well. Brilliant thing at the moment, being out in Cyprus, buying these bottles of water, which are 1.5 litres. I go through 2 a day. So I'm getting 3 litres in relatively easily. Probably more, because I take 1 to the gym, which I'll drink throughout the session. Keeping movement in daily, get outside, bit of fresh air. Easier said than done in the UK at the moment with it being November, but still get some fresh air, get out there, keep expenditure. 10,000 steps a day should be relatively easy. And then limit screen time before bed, just so again, from a scientific perspective, we want to limit any blue light. So our phone emits blue light, which is not what we want, because our body's going to go, "Wait, I've got light coming. It's time to be awake. It's time to let's go," when we want the opposite. So I just try and spend a bit of time away from the screen before going to bed, and go from there. So that's how we have it. That's how to get lean, maintain lean and athletic physique, and obviously giving you a few tips along the way. Now, in the description below, there's a link to my free hybrid training guide, where you've got all your training, all your nutrition, which covers everything about getting in shape, what training program to follow, how many calories to consume, when to consume different meals, etc. So all of that is going to be in the description down below. Pop the link. The link is there. All you need to do is pop your email in and you can download it right away. So if you have enjoyed the video anyway, do give it a like and subscribe. And if not, no problem. I'll hopefully see you on the next one.